Hi everyone. Um, so the Arizona court hearing was today, and I've been looking everywhere online, and I couldn't find uh, the actual result of the hearing. I don't know. I don't know what they said at the end. It's just been ongoing, and nobody really knows what happened yet. But yeah, so I don't know if Arizona's gonna get a recount in voting or not, but boy, all the stuff that's been going on, that's been posted online, it's crazy. I've never seen a court hearing quite like this one. I mean, yeah, court hearings don't always go right. I mean, people get carried out of the room for doing something they shouldn't be doing, like violent stuff, or just making threats, or just going crazy, whatever. I mean, that happens. And court hearings sometimes take a while. Some of them are difficult to go through, but even by those standards, and even in high crime areas, and and high profile um, uh, courtrooms, wherever they may be in the country, even for those places, this is pretty bad. I think this says a lot because, excuse me, there's just so much that went on. I didn't watch it all because I couldn't bear to see. I couldn't bear to see, all of that BS, all of just there's just so much that went on that didn't make sense, that I'm at a loss for words. It wasn't all bad. All the voters got to make their case, and one representative did speak out, and the mayor and the governor called for this hearing. So it's not all bad. We at least got to have the hearing. But I saw where there were a couple of times where people were getting pulled out. One guy got pulled out for like no reason, and enough people gathered around I think it was two officers. They tried to pull this man out. He didn't do anything wrong, and this one woman, she was like, "Get away from him! Leave him alone! He did not do anything wrong." Man, she was asserting herself like, I mean, I'm not sure you can out assert this woman. I mean, she was going in on those officers, just telling them to stop. She went flat out in on them. I mean, seriously, talk about going in on somebody. I mean, and I don't mean that to offend. I'm just saying, I mean, she asserted herself for that man. I mean, a lot of people, and then a lot of people jumped in, but man, she's just like, "Don't you lay your hands on him. You stop that. Don't you take him out of here. He did nothing wrong." And yeah, the man did nothing wrong. He's just sitting there. I mean, it's one thing if somebody's disrupting the courtroom and you want to escort him out. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Whatever. But if he's not doing anything wrong, you're just sitting there. What are you doing? You know, ugh. If you thought them calling Arizona for Hillary while people were still voting was bad, and while the vote was still being suppressed, oh no 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 no. The people in Arizona, a lot of them, not all, but the people in charge in Arizona took this opportunity to treat their civilians, some of them, like they weren't human beings, and to just make them feel like they didn't matter. And I think like a couple minutes in to that video where the officers were trying to pretty much take the guy who did nothing wrong out, someone in the crowd started a chant that said, "Shame, shame, shame, shame," and it went on, and until you could just hear a crowd where the people around those officers was pretty much engulfing them at about, I'd say, 20 to 30 feet, maybe closer to 15 to 20 feet. They were just going, "Shame, shame, 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 shame," not slapping my hands together like that, but they were all going, "Shame, shame, shame," man. That's just one video. There was another video. It may have been the same incident at a different angle, but I think it was a different one. They took somebody else out. They just wrestled this guy to the ground. It just got violent for some reason. I don't know, man. The reason I think this court hearing speaks so many levels compared to other ones, it's just there's lots of people there, and this is on a lot of the people. And I'm not saying these other court hearings don't matter. No, they do. But, you know, this is on the weight of not just a few families or, you know, not just a few 20 to 50 people. It's on thousands, close to 1 million maybe in one state. That's millions of people, possibly. At least in the high thousands, if not 1 million. Because 800,000 people showed up to vote with 70% less precincts than in 2012 when there were 300,000 people to vote with 200 precincts. Doesn't that seem a little bit strange? And the people decide to speak up for their right to vote, and you just go and attack them? No. You're just making yourself more and more obvious. And when that bird came up to Bernie's podium, it may be a sign that we're going to be okay. Whether he gets the nomination or not, what happened in Arizona and is likely to, and what could happen in New York, California, and Pennsylvania based on the voter suppression going on there, just remember the bird at the Bernie Sanders podium. It's symbolic as to when Jesus rose from the dead and all the animals came to him. And I think in pairs, actually. Or no, wait, that was Noah, I think. But still, the animals came to Jesus, and, you know, Jesus brought peace to the lands, and it was just beautiful and symbolic, and that's what I think of that bird when I see Bernie, is that he's basically a savior for the next generation and for other generations as well. But don't forget what happened along the way. Jesus, you know, he had a lot of struggles too. He wasn't perfect. Bernie's having struggles right now. He's not perfect. I'm just trying to educate. I'm not trying to, like, get you into religion or spirituality, anything like that. I'm just trying to, you know, educate and let you know it's gonna be all right. But that we have to, like the people are doing in Arizona and struggling really hard right now, they're fighting for their right to vote, and it's just ridiculous. This corruption, it's so ridiculous that it's gotten this bad. I mean, you can't even fight for your right to vote anymore. You can't even fight for your right as a human being. Man, it's just amazing how bad it's gotten, and I don't say that with any delight. I say that with full displeasure, and, you know, it brings me no joy to say that. It's astounding how bad it's gotten. It's really sad. I know I keep pausing and such, but and I stutter, but you know, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of you would be too if you saw what's been going on at this hearing today. It's flat out ridiculous. I mean, at least one state representative spoke out against what the people in the state of Arizona were doing, and give that representative credit. You know, not many of those people in charge are willing to. And I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying everybody. There are there's still a good amount of people who are in charge willing to fight for us. I'm just saying you don't see that many of them publicly trying to defend the people in ways that this Arizona state representative is. Man, I'm glad he called out the one. the 1516 bill, which would allow further corruption in Arizona to spread, and for these companies to continue to engage in voter fraud and suppression, like they did nearly a week ago when Arizona, Idaho, and Utah voted. But just so you know, unlike the 5 states Bernie won in the past 5 days, I think, 6 days, Arizona was not a caucus. It was the only state out of the 6 that was not a caucus. It's a primary, and you can do a recount there. And guess what? If you, the people in charge, push against us, the people, and not give us our basic human rights, oh, we're going to push back even harder. We're going to push back 10, 15, infinity times harder. You're going to give us our right to vote. We're human beings. You're not going to hold us back. Man, it's ridiculous. They think they can control us. No. No, we're not stepping stones to these corporations and these corrupt politicians. We're above that. And it's so nice to see the people standing up and educating themselves online and just fighting back against all the corruption and, fighting for pretty much a utopia. Well, or as close to one as we can get, It'd be nice if, maybe we can't exactly fight for a utopia, but we can fight to get the second best thing, or the closest thing to it. And who knows, that might actually be not a few inches away from a utopia. And, that's fine with me. We can't exactly get a perfect utopia. We can get mostly 90-95% to it. Go for it, man. Let's take our country back. This is the time to do that. 2016, we take our country back. Oh, one last side note. Voters in Rhode Island, you must have registered by the end of yesterday in order to vote. Otherwise, I forgot to look up if it was open or closed. I'm sorry. But if you haven't registered in the party you need to register in, then you cannot vote. I'm sorry. Just make sure you're registered. And Pennsylvania, I believe, is a closed primary. Make sure you register as a Democrat in order to vote by the end of the day. Otherwise, you cannot vote. Wisconsin, yeah, that's an open primary. Just make sure you've registered to vote by Friday. And if you're in Delaware, I cannot remember if that state is closed. I think it's a closed primary. So I think, I can't remember. If it is, make sure you register as a Democrat by Saturday if you're in Delaware. And remember, sorry, I thought there were other states. I'll mention the 2 next states you need to register for by I'll mention those states tomorrow if something comes up about Arizona or anything important happens. Oh, I do remember one more thing. New York voter registration was in the numbers for New York voters was the highest in history, I think. So that's good. Hopefully they got that issue fixed with the corruption, and hopefully with the voter registration status, and hopefully they can do the same in California and Pennsylvania and other states it's happening in. So with that, I leave with this final note that we need to take the country back and we need to fight. It's up to us to, if you're voting for Bernie or whoever, it's up to us to spread the word on the candidate we want, to spread the truth, to be educated on the issues, and for us to get people out to vote for the candidate we want on the days that each of these states votes. So with that in mind, thank you for watching, and as always, to my fellow Bernie supporters, feel the burn. And tone down for what? And tone down for what? Tone down for what?